Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today on this Wednesday edition. I am Marsh, joined by B. Ron. Good morning, B. Ron. How are you?
Marsh, it's good to be back here with you on the Wednesday show. It's weird being back here only one day a week now with you returning, but hey, good to be here all the same with you, man.
I will keep an eye on my back before you come and try to take me out with that threat. Let's jump right in where we have a new SWBA Cup champion, and that will be the Milwaukee Bucks, who take down the Oklahoma City Thunder after a very impressive defensive effort from the Bucks last night. B-Ron, your takeaways for the second champion of the SWBA Cup.
So one of the things was I really liked how the Bucks used the 3-point shot to really get themselves going in the win and lead them to that win last night, Marsh. But another thing I really wanted to talk about was I really think that one of the advantages of the cup format for the tournament is that I think it gives a team like the Bucks, who, like you said, only had 2 wins in the season starting out, got themselves going, and they may have revitalized their season with the win in the tournament, with the play overall in the tournament. So that's another thing that I really want to take away from this was the fact that these are the kinds of things that can get a team going for the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's a team that's been rolling ever since, as you said, 2-8 start. Their defense obviously was the big note of last night. They're healthy. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for this group. They were not healthy early on, and they were able to get Chris Middleton back. And I think the irony of it is that at the beginning of this whole barely actually have not gotten Chris Middleton back. I take that back. The irony of this whole thing is that it was a Dame and Giannis show early on, and they just couldn't get stops. They could not play efficient offense, and everyone was waiting on Chris Middleton to return, and he still has not made this triumphant "we are back" Milwaukee style, but they are back because they've found ways to be better on the defensive end, including last night completely shutting out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the win. That's not an easy task to do, and it's something that even the Houston Rockets, with maybe the league's best defense, could not accomplish Saturday night in Las Vegas. So my takeaway is that we often get very entrenched early on in the season with wins and losses. And I think I mentioned at the time, I don't remember who it was about, but it was about one of these teams that was struggling. And they went 2-8, the Bucks did. But if you slap that in the middle of January, it's a frustrating streak. It's a frustrating trend, but it is not a season-defining trend. And I think we're beginning to see more and more of this, what Giannis is capable of doing. I would not be shocked if we see him return to the MVP conversation, because he has been that good, not return, but maybe be more forefront in the MVP conversation, because he has been that good for this basketball team. For the Thunder, it's why you need a second piece. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really struggled. Jalen Williams was fine, but he is certainly not the second-level star that you typically need for a team that's trying to win a championship. I'm not saying the Thunder can't. It just underscores that they'll need another step, but they're a young team playing on a big stage. For the second time, they didn't really live up to it, with the first time being the Mavs series, but I don't necessarily change my opinion of Oklahoma City off one game.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm also of the mindset that I'm not going to change my opinion on OKC. They're still my favorite to win the whole thing in the finals once you get to that point in the I don't want to call it the real playoffs, but you know what I mean. In the second playoffs, we'll say. But I also do think that we talk about true number ones a lot, Marsh, and a lot of the pro teams have them. Any team has a number one guy, but your number two, you always need a number two guy. And like you said, Thunder don't really have that. If they can develop that over the course of the season, though, Marsh, then maybe that'll be a time when, again, come the playoffs, if SGA is struggling, then you can lean on number two. Maybe you trade to get one or whatever happens, but you got to find a way to get a second piece for SGA.
Well, figuring out second pieces is what the All-Star Game is now going to be doing, as the SWBA announced a new All-Star Game format, which will feature 4 teams playing in a 2-game tournament of sorts, including a fourth team that will be the winner of the Rising Stars game. There will be a draft. It'll be done by TNT personalities Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck. And it'll feature the same what we're used to voting format, but now broken up into 3 teams competing for the first to score 40. B-Ron, your thoughts?
So people are really adamant that the All-Star game should be one way, and the league wants to go in a different direction with it. I personally, I don't know how I feel about this right now. I think you're convoluting it and making it stretched out for no reason other than more money, which is fine business. Do what you gotta do at the end of the day. But I really don't know if I like this, Marsh. I prefer having the one game and having it be what I do like the ad of getting the winner of the Rising Stars challenge in there. I do like that part of it. Everything else, I'm not sure how I feel about it though. At the moment, I'm kind of iffy on it. In all honesty, I don't have a real opinion on it at the moment. Unfortunately, once I see it though, then I can definitely have more of an opinion on it, I feel like.
I think it's great because what I don't want to see is, and I'm trying to get the score, is a 211 to 186 piece of absolute television garbage. I'm interested. I'm interested in what this game is going to look like. I'm interested in the commitment level. I think the fact that they have condensed this to playing to 40 might even be a little too much. Just make them play to an easy amount where they can go hard, but not so damn hard that they are going to be putting themselves at risk. No one bats an eye when the NHL goes to a 3v3 tournament, I think is what they do. It's either 3v3 or 4v4 type of setup. No one cares. Now, maybe that's because the SWHL is just not nearly as popular. That's obviously a reason. And then the SWFL goes to a flag football tournament. And we are pretty much okay with that because the players tell us we don't really feel like playing a football game because guess what? The football game, the Pro Bowl, also sucked. Why are we going to get up in arms about this? I think it is good for the league. It is different. It is interesting. You can watch your team play 82 times a season. And with the current national TV broadcasts and local media deals, you can watch any team except if you're on League Pass, your home team, because that's the problem with League Pass. You can watch them play as many times as you want. So there is no longer a barrier of entry to see a star play basketball. So what I don't need to see is LeBron, Steph, and KD teaming up on an all-star team where they're not going to try. Give me meaningful, hopefully, basketball, but also I don't need to see another basketball game that pretty much just looks like a warm-up. And to be honest, I haven't tuned into an all-star game since I was like 12 because it's just boring. So you know what? Taking a swing, I'm on board with it. I love it. Taking a swing now is the SWFL new favorites, and that'll be the Buffalo Bills, as they have marched up to be the favorites to be Super Bowl champions. B-Ron, your opinion, are they indeed the favorites?
Last I checked, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are still going to be in the playoffs. However, I do think that the Bills are in a position to be the favorites, yeah. And even with my Ravens being in the playoff hunt, Marsh, I do like the Bills as well, especially again if their offense continues to cook like it has with Josh Allen playing as well as he has throughout the season. I do like the Bills as favorites, maybe not the primary favorite, but a favorite, yes.
The AFC is wide open right now, and I think that this change of favorites underscores a hesitancy in Vegas in the trust that Patrick Mahomes is going to be healthy for the rest of the season. Because the Kansas City Chiefs may be 13-1, but as everybody knows, they have not been a dominant 13-1 force. They have been a team that has barely skirted away, that have relied on Patrick Mahomes to make big plays down the stretch of football games to get them wins. If he's not available to go, or if he is hampered to be 75% of him, this is not the same Kansas City Chiefs team. Now, I think he probably should sit out their next game coming up on the 21st against Houston so that he can have a full runway of action into, I believe they play on Christmas. And then you, of course, that's 2 games, so that's they're at 14, that's 15, 16. You got 1 game after that. Depending on how the Texans game go, you might even be able to sit them then. And then you get a bye week because you should be the number 1 team. And then you can get them rolling at full strength. But I don't believe, truthfully, in anybody in the AFC because you can look at every single team that's currently in the playoffs 1 through 7. You can poke a hole in them. Kansas City has won too many close games. Buffalo just gave up back-to-back games in which they lost to the Rams by giving up 40+, beat the Lions by giving up 30+. Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. Houston does not look the same as they have before. Baltimore's been inconsistent. They still don't have a really great wide receiver. Denver Broncos, you're going to rely on Bo Nix? I don't think I am. And the Chargers have been exceptionally up and down. So if I look at the AFC and I'm like, I got a favorite to pick, I'd go with Buffalo because at least I know their quarterback's healthy right now, and he should be going into the postseason at or near 100%. You can't say that against Kansas City, and that's why I think the favorites move. Does it matter? Of course not. Just a Las Vegas line, but I think it underscores to me the trepidation that Las Vegas has. And to be honest, a lot of the times I think this is worth paying attention to because Vegas moves lines at just the right time before news comes out because they have their inside sources that are more connected than the Adam Schefters of the world. I don't think it's something that we should overlook in terms of Patrick Mahomes' health in the long run. Let's head to SimWorld U, where you were in attendance last night for the upset of Villanova over North Carolina, number 11 ranked. Tar Heels go down 71-61. Their rally comes up short. Your takeaways from the Tar Heels' loss to the Wildcats?
So I really liked what Villanova's defense did last night. They were everywhere on blocking shots. They finished the game with 13 blocks and 6 steals. That is very impressive to do against Team North Carolina, who they have outplayed their expectations start the season. Number 11 coming into the game last night, and they had some talent with lottery pick Van Wallace there, who he didn't have a great night at all. He only had 9 points, 6 rebounds, and again, a lot of that was due to that defense that Villanova has. And if Kyle Neptune and those boys can keep that defense playing at a high level like they did last night against North Carolina, they'll definitely be dangerous throughout the season. And then once you get into conference tournaments and the hoops area as well, Marshall. That's my big takeaway. Villanova's defense is nasty.
This is the concern with the Tar Heels because you look at their stats and it's really good. It gives you a lot of hope. They're the 18th best offense, 78 points per game. They're the 6th best shooting 3-point team at 38%. They're top 40 in the country in field goal percentage at 47. All of those things you look at and say, this is really good. But then when you dive deeper, it's an offense by committee, right? Bam Wallace leads the team with 15.7 points per game. He's primarily been really dominant as a 3-point shooter where he's shooting 46%. But then you go to Kamarian Bracken at 11 points, Kasim Porter Jr. at 10.8 points per game. Kasim Porter Jr. is shooting less than 40% from the field on the season. He's above 40% from deep. But the numbers at the surface level tell you a lot about this is a really good offensive group, but when you dive into the immediate or the intricate details of it, it's not as nearly as impressive as a group. And I think that's where Villanova took advantage last night. They held them on as a team to sub 33% shooting, I think it was. Yeah, 33.8 as a team, because if you are able, to your point, take away Bam Wallace and make Kasim Porter Jr. be an inside the arc basketball player, which they did. 9 of his 13 shots came from inside the paint or inside the 3-point line. Beyond 3, shot 2 of 4. Inside, he went 2 of 9. So what Villanova did, and they deserve the credit for this, is they forced the North Carolina offense into positions that they want to avoid at all costs, and that is an inefficient Bam Wallace and a driving, attacking Kasim Porter Jr., and that's what they were able to accomplish, and that's what really led to this offense for North Carolina never being able to get into a groove. They had an atrocious first half, scoring just 28 points. As you could see last night, this was a hawking Villanova defense. I loved that from Villanova. They've been inconsistent, and they've been up and down. But when you put together a game like this, it's what, in my opinion, the voters are going to look at, because there's going to be so many teams that are going to be 2-3 games 4 games above 500 at the end of this season, that you're going to look and say, well, what differentiates the not top 25 teams that we need to fill out a 64-team bracket? And a win like this for Villanova is what allows you to do that. A big win, great job of getting to the defensive side of the ball. All right, let's roll the tape for a jam-packed Tuesday night in SimWorld U. We already talked Villanova, so let's get rolling with every other game that took place this season. Let's start with South Carolina and St. Mary's, where the Gamecocks get a 72-68 win. Keandre Baldridge leads the way with 27 points and 5 rebounds for the Gamecocks. They are now 2 games above 500. St. Mary's falls down to 500 on the season. A double-double from Brendan Romine, 14 and 15 for the Gales. Moving along to Syracuse and Wichita State, as we just get a couple more highlights here of the Gamecocks win at home over St. Mary's. Big win for the Gamecocks. They'll need to get all the wins they can get here ahead of SEC play. Wichita State goes on the road to take down Syracuse as the Orange remain beaten on the season. 18 points and 7 rebounds from Keontae McPherson. John Hudgens leads the way for Syracuse with 16 points, but tallies no rebounds and no assists for Syracuse. Aiden Whiting gets 11 boards for the Orange. That was a game high last night. Xavier and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech continues their hot run this season, 76-71 win. Trevion Novich leading the way with 20 points and 9 boards. Xavier's Braylon Burleson leads all scorers with 26 points for the Musketeers. The Musketeers now fall to 3-5, and now a 6-2 start for Virginia Tech. Michigan and Boise State. Michigan beaten up on a lackluster Boise State squad, 85-71. Huge night from Richard Pizarski, 33 points, 12 boards on the night, and Samuel Bogus, 20 and 10 for the Wolverines, playing another game without Lorenzo Phenom. Their stars, or their ancillary stars, pick up the pace. 21 points for Curtis London for Boise State. Boise State 1-7 on the year. SMU and Wake Forest. SMU gets the win at home, 87-76. A career night from Maury Washington, 21 points on 10 of 12 shooting. Cam Jones, 16-4-4, and McAllen Duval, 26-5, as SMU's big names get rolling as they move to 6-4. Wake Forest led by J.C. Graham, the only player in double figures with 22. Fighting Illini fall at home to Marquette. The Golden Eagles get a much-needed win, 80-69, 30 points for Marcus Leifat to lead the way for Marquette. That was the highest point total of any score last night in Champaign. Zay Gore with 14. D'Angelo Jordan struggled, 13 points on 5 of 16 shooting. Minnesota, this was the nightcapper last night, and VCU in overtime. It's VCU getting a 92-84 win, 40 points from Jahi Hobson with 7 boards on 32 field goal attempts for VCU Rams. Donald Fetty led the way for Minnesota with 27. Keyshawn Wilkie, 21 and 10, a double-double for the Golden Gophers. Gophers now are 4-3. VCU moves to 4-5 on the season. Moving to a little New Mexico action as the Lobos get an 83-71 win over Oklahoma State. Ireland early paces the way with 20 points, a double-double from Taz Cooper, 16-13, and Damari Gay gets 17, 9, and 5 for New Mexico. They win at home. They get to 500 over an Oklahoma State team that now falls to 6-10 on the season. Heads to some more Mountain West teams. That's Colorado State at home against Ohio State. 80-60 Buckeye win. Cody Johnson with 15. German Davenport with 15 for Ohio State. They have 6 players finished in double figures in this one. Colorado State led by Ryan Fugate, 14 points. Jermaine Chappelle, 10-7. All right, Arizona and Butler. Top 25 matchup. It'd be Butler getting the dramatic win, 101-100. 63 points in the second half. Not enough for Arizona. 24 points and 21 points from Juan Valentine and Corey Yams for Arizona, but 21 apiece from Sean Chapman-Daly, Travion Timms. Timms, 1 board short of a triple-double, 21, 9, and 11. And cap it off with Gonzaga at home against Virginia, getting a much-needed win, Jason Nelis, 15-7-3. Caden Ship, 13-8-5 for the Zags, who moved to 9-6. 25 points from Johnny Baldwin. Not enough for the now 3-6 Virginia Cavaliers. All right, that is a full slate of games that we just busted through there. We got more games coming up here tonight in SimWorld U on a Wednesday night, so make sure you are tuning in to all that action. B-Ron, as always, great to have you on board. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Everyone, make sure you're tuning in tomorrow. Maestro back in the booth for SimWorld today here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sport.